What's going on? So I figured I'm going to start this kind of, I guess, a series that goes over kind of the new alpha experience. A lot of things have been happening with Eve, with like the price increases and things like that. I've found myself playing a lot of just this new alpha character that I've created. It's kind of twofold if you think about it. A lot of my motivation for this new character came from just kind of like purging myself a little bit of association. There's this weird situation where, like, if you play Eve long enough and you've been in different corporations that operate in certain sides of Null, if you wanted to kind of like, experience another side of Null, and I think a good example of this would be maybe like, fraternity slash goons. It's very difficult to take like a main character that you have associations with from one side of Null to the other, because everybody is just hyper concerned about spies, right? And it's kind of part of my reason I started. This is like, I like to call this character like the new main, and it's kind of me doing things in the way I should have done at the beginning of my of playing Eve. And this kind of like goes back to like, motivations of like, I think for me a lot, I was playing Eve the wrong way. And I'm guilty of this up to like even just recently. And what I was doing is I was trying to play it like any other game where there's like, antagonist, protagonist, and things like that. What I've kind of noticed, and you can let me know your thoughts in the comments as well, but Eve is very unique in a way that CCP has in a way created the most advanced bad guy, as it were, or antagonist that you could never recreate with like AI or any sort of like coding or whatever. And that's because the gameplay life cycle for Eve is, it's taking, like, when you start playing Eve, you're unskilled, you're new to the universe, and you're just kind of like you against the environment, you against other players, but mostly the environment. And you would be probably, at the best definition, the protagonist of your own story. Once you actually master the environment, that's being like, combat sites or just like rats and stuff in general, the natural transition between like newbie protagonist is to become the bad guy, right? And I think that's like what a lot of people don't understand about Eve. It's like they get to a certain point in their play career and they're looking for more challenge. They're strictly playing it as like a PvE game, and it's always been and it always will be a PvP game, because the way the game is structured is they turn their player base, their older player base, into the antagonist. You get to a certain point where there's a massive amount of skill points. You have the option of doing a lot of different things, and most of the time, the more profitable and efficient thing to do is just attack other people. And there's once you get to that point, there's really not much else to do as far as content goes. PvE has a shelf life, definitely. And a lot of that is just, the nature of the beast, right? Like, it's just kind of going back on a little story. For me, I was about, I guess, 2 months into playing Eve. I was in my very first corporation. And my CEO at the time, I asked him straight up, I'm like, we would go out, we were in a mining corporation. We'd just go out every day. We'd mine. And at that point, I was up to, my main was an Orca pilot. And I had an alt that was max yield Hulk at the time. We were still located in high sec, and I asked him one day, and I already like owned an Orca. I had all the ships that I needed for like the normal play loop that I was used to at that point. And I asked him, I'm like, well, what's the point, right? When you master mining, when you or if you're a ratter or whatever, exploration, like what happens when you get to the point where you've done those things and there's no more growth? Is it just ISK generation, or are you just going after ISK? And his response was kind of vague. He had been playing for a long time, but essentially, it was just about accumulating ISK. accumulating currency, which kind of confused me at the time because it's like I couldn't see a reason why you'd want to accumulate ISK after you've already done everything that interested you and you kind of hit a ceiling. I mean, at that point, we were going out every day mining, and if we didn't lose our ships to ganks, which we usually didn't, right? But like, even if you don't lose your ships at all, you're mining day in and day out, and you're just stockpiling this ISK. And then, if you do like lose a ship or get destroyed, then all that, ISK you worked for replaces the mining fleet that you're doing, and then you're just right back to square one, right? And I think this can, for anybody who's had a lot of ISK before, can probably attest to this as well. It's like, there is a certain point where you get so much currency that there's no motivation to play. Like, imagine your daily play loop in EVE right now, and imagine yourself overnight, you just have like 1 trillion ISK or Plex or whatever sitting in your wallet. What, how does that affect your normal play? If you're out there doing rat sites incessantly every day to like grind out ISK, and now you have 1 trillion, what do? You don't even need to do it anymore, right? At a certain point. And I think that's where a lot of like the power shift comes from in EVE as well. It's like, these people have been playing for years and years, they get so much ISK that the only thing left to do is to play people, right? And that's, the people that are running, high-end alliances, and controlling large sections of null, which, takes a lot of organization and networking. But I think I always played EVE as like a solo player, a solo PvE player, and I was never really interested in PvP. And so there was a very low ceiling for enjoyment in EVE. I probably was a miner for probably at least the first 2 years. And then once I got kind of tired of the nerfs on that, I just stopped mining and started doing ratting, and I was enjoying that. That was new and different. And then, after I was kind of stale from that, I'd go to the next thing, abyssals, going into wormhole, Poshman, just doing all these different activities. And, there's still some things that I, am working on now that are still new, but like I can see that, definitely like 6 months to a year, unless they add more new gameplay elements, there's going to become a point where there's going to be nothing left to really do. And I've kind of gotten to that point now where it's like, I could have all the ISK in the world, I could have all the Plex stockpiled, or I could have all this stuff, stockpiled, and it doesn't really matter, because what would I actually spend it on? I've gotten to fly everything, everything, probably with the exception of Titan, just because I can't really justify the cost of the hull. And a lot of that kind of capital stuff kind of hit me when I, eventually got like higher end to null, when I started getting into carrier dread, and things like that. It's like you can train for, and especially with Rorqual, you can train for these ships. You can aspire to like be able to fly these ships and max these ships out, but most of the time you're never going to get to undock them. And I think that's more so for the Titan than anything, right? You can spend a lot of time training it. You can spend a lot of ISK buying everything for it, and then what's going to end up happening is you're going to sit it in a keep star somewhere, and you're just going to spin it. You're never going to be able to play with it. So that's why I kind of like got off the kind of capital push. I think I went up to like carrier. And then once I figured out that, it wasn't really worth the time investment, I kind of just like, refocused in a different direction. And started doing things like abyssals, and started playing around with more battlecruiser stuff, battleship stuff, more of those smaller ship activities, which I've gotten a lot of enjoyment out of. Which, brings me to this like, alpha account that I've got right now. I started this account. I didn't need another account, right? But the idea behind this was just to make a character that I planned to spend $0 real dollars on, right? And kind of just show the process at which it is to progress this. And eventually this character will get Omega, but only through ISK and only through in-game, playing. This character right now is like 22 or 23 days old. No, it's still an NPC corporation. And the point here is like, I don't even play this character that much. I think I logged into this character like maybe once a week or so. I usually get the login rewards and things like that. But so kind of what I've already done with this character is I started it. I did the new player experience, which was interesting. None of that stuff existed when I created my characters several years ago. And then I went and did all the career agent missions, which kind of gives you a lot of assets, right? And then I just kind of like put a bunch of minor twos on a this venture here, and basically everything else that you got from like the new the career mission agents and everything, like the comrades, all the Marlins, all that stuff, I just sold it all, right? And I basically grinded with that, and then mining, and then worked on product discovery to get up to 39 million. And then I just recently got to 39 million, and then bought gas cloud harvesting. So the next phase right now for this character is to actually just, I'm basically have to farm up another 6 million, and that will allow me to buy my my gas scoop ones. And then the plan is to just kind of fly around high sec, right? And do some gas mining and just kind of accumulate resources. And this character is at like, I want to say almost 2 million. Correction, she is at exactly 2 million. And so what the idea here is that, she'll passive train up to like 5 million skill points. And that 5 million skill points is extremely thought out, right? We're talking about shield skills. We're talking about targeting skills, armor skills, navigation skills. And since I'm doing, primarily what we're doing on this character is going to be gas mining and high sec. So, the gas cloud harvesting, mining frigate stuff, anything that can make that play activity better, scanning, all that stuff. And that's kind of where she'll sit for a while. And then from the product of gas mining, we'll start throwing in, we'll probably start doing a lot of, I might do alpha injectors. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the value's there. I have to run the math on it. I'm going to go ahead and guess that it's probably not. It's probably actually better I just gas mine as an alpha until I can actually just pay for Omega. And then, but I want to have a plan once I hit Omega, because I want that first 30 days to be very substantial. So I don't want to like, normally when you get like Omega on a fresh new character, that whole first month or two is kind of wasted, because you're doing so much base passive skill stuff like CPU management and targeting and things like that. So the idea is just kind of like, and I've been really enjoying playing this alpha character, actually. It's been kind of like, after doing several years of just pushing Omega and just pushing more accounts, more alts, doing massive amounts of PI, doing massive amounts of mining and ratting and multiple character stuff, it's really nice to just kind of step back. Especially in lieu of like the price increases for Omega and for Plex, and just kind of step back and just kind of play as an alpha. It's enjoyable. Is it something I'm going to do for a long time? Probably not. I don't know exactly the direction that Eve is gonna go. It seems like the price increase is more detrimental than anything, but it's gonna be interesting to kind of see. I think really what I want to see is just more kind of gameplay options coming out and things like that. But I figure I'm gonna like try to make this like kind of a little small series, just kind of like alpha, no real money kind of alpha to Omega, and just kind of just share that experience. I think it's very interesting to kind of see if you play the game underneath, the really shitty economy that exists. It's kind of manageable. It's really hard after playing really very largely skilled characters, because it's like it's like putting yourself in a box. There's so many things that you just can't do that you're used to doing. So your perspective, like income, right? Like I take this guy out, and it's like 400, right? 400k. It's absolute shit. And like that's you're used to like taking out a retriever. That guy bumped me off that rock. But you're right. You say like even early on, you're used to taking out like a retriever or a skiff. Taking out an orca and just kind of solo drone mining and just kind of filling up, compressing, which is probably where we're going to try to get this character to eventually. But if you just kind of like change your perspective and you're okay with like, earning money at a lower rate, but also your daily expenses are kind of underneath that as well, it's become really, really enjoyable, actually. So what I'm doing right now is very simple. Like the gameplay loop is alpha characters. I log in every day, get the rewards. I do the product discovery. And what's interesting here is she's at level 24. And what will end up happening here is once she gets to level 50, which I think she has to be like 4 million or 4.5 million or something to get to level 50, she'll get a pacifier BPC, which I'll be able to build that pacifier for like 15, 16 million. And then I'll be able to sell the pacifier for like, 180, 190, depending on what the market is. So that'll be a nice bump in her wallet, which will help considerably. If we don't actually end up just using it, we might actually at that point switch to exploration or something. But really, the gameplay loop beyond that is just kind of going out here and mining one jump out of Jita, and then I'll come in here and just sell. I try to go after dense feldspar. It's I get a little bit more in the tank when it comes down to it. So yeah, it's like 483 every trip. I was down really low on ISK just because of that skill purchase right there. As you can see, she's been saving for a while, and I haven't really played her a whole lot. On most weeks, it's like maybe log her in once or twice for the most part. Because the idea is like, show an alpha character's progress to being self-omega'd, but not at the expense of playing like 8-10 hours a day, right? Kind of like a very casual kind of representation of what that would look like, what choices to make in gameplay. And so this would be kind of like episode 1 of that. And I didn't really know if it was going to be entirely possible when I first started this character, or else I would have shown it from the very beginning. But up to this point, we're basically new player experience, all the career agents, and then I haven't really been mining too much. I've been mining more today and yesterday than anything, but it's been like logging in, doing product discovery to get up to the 39 million by gas cloud harvesting. Now I'm going to mine again up to 6 or 7 mil by the scoops, and then we'll spend time actually just flying around and looking for gas clouds. And then from there, it'll be just kind of like generate more revenue, just kind of build up the wallet while we're kind of making our way towards about 5 million skill points. The goal is by the time we get to 5 million skill points, hopefully we'll be able to pull the trigger on the first month of Omega. And then during that first month, we're going to try to get at least into probably a mining barge, and then probably into some sort of ratting ship and exploration ship. We're going to like try to have 3 different ships going on, so that we can during that first month we can diversify our activities. So if we don't feel like mining, we can go out and do high sec ratting, or if we don't feel like doing that, we can go out and do exploration stuff, and then that's gonna be kind of like the cycle. And then we're gonna try to figure out what the best situation is, least amount of playtime, but be able to actually plex the account or Omega the account with just the gameplay loop. So that's been, I kind of wanted to make a video talking about what my thoughts on like the EVE environment is right now, and kind of this little experiment that I've been running lately. I'm probably still gonna be putting out some fit videos here, probably twice a week or so, but I think the goal for me on the fits and everything like that is to try to like at least represent, like, just as a personal goal, I kind of want to like do a fit video over every ship in EVE. Almost every ship. There's some ships I won't be able to do fit videos over, like Guardian Vexor, some of the limited edition ships that are just not available, and stuff like that. But really the priority on my fit videos is kind of like the stuff that I just enjoy playing, like the Vedmak video. Like, I'm not gonna like make fit videos for stuff that I just don't enjoy, because I just don't think that would come across. I think it would come across as disingenuine, So that's kind of the idea and everything. And I'm hoping that like some good changes come to EVE, but I'm not holding my breath for it. But we'll see. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. I'll try to put another episode out for this when we kind of start doing the whole gas mining gameplay loop, and you can kind of see what my revenue is looking like with that. But I just want to kind of make this first video to kind of let you know kind of where this little project was sitting at. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.